This is all about the best ways to get acid in Once Human. Now, I know what you're thinking. You think this might be like any of those other videos that tells you how to make an acid farm. This is not the case. Acid farms are absolutely garbage. You should not waste time, resources, or anything to do with an acid farm. There's plenty of better, faster, more time-efficient ways to get acid in this game. Let's start. So the first method is the quickest one, and that is to go to the moving house, which is a weekly quest you can do. On week 1 of the server, here's Deadsville, the first town you'll get to. Just northwest right here on this hill will be a moving house. And then on weeks 2 and 3, it will be located right here, Hale's Moving House, southwest of Greywater Camp. And you can do this every Sunday at midnight. Essentially, the moving house resets every time your commissions reset. So if you talk to V by summoning him with your tab menu, you can just see if commissions are available. If they are, go do the moving house. So if you've never done the moving house, it's a greenhouse, and when you go through the front door, there will be some hands right here. By attacking the hands, we'll skip the cutscene. You can just simply, beat up the hands. There we go. And 3 orbs will fly throughout the house. You push your Q button, it'll tell you where the orbs are. Now, there's always going to be one in this little portrait here. But what you do is you look at the orbs, you see where they fly around, or you don't. You just push your Q button, and it's going to highlight where the orbs are hiding. So there's one hiding in here. And it's always different, right? It's always going to be different. And the other orb is on this table. So there you go. That's all you do. This takes seconds to do. Literal seconds. And then you just run and loot the chest once a week, and look how much acid we get. So apparently I looted this earlier before filming, but it's 230 acid. You get 7 controllers. So yeah, 230 times however many alt accounts that you make. That's a lot of acid very quickly. So number 2 is Cargo Rush, and if you don't know what Cargo Rush is, open your map, and at the same time every day these things happen. Just push your X button, and that's going to show panels, and they're these little, it'll be like a little truck icon running around on the roads on the map. You go shoot the truck, and then you AFK near it, and you'll get sproutlets. Now, if you're on a very crowded PvP server, and there's other players, you can PvP them if you want, you'll still get some sproutlets, not as many, but you can hit up the high-level zone, and then the mid-level zones, and the low-level zones, and you'll get 2,000 to 3,000 in under 30 minutes. And you do that a few times a day, or just a few times a week. You don't have to do it very much. That's going to give you tons of sproutlets, and you can exchange the sproutlets at a 2-to-1 ratio. So it costs 2 sproutlets per acid. Well, in, just about an hour's worth of doing Cargo Rush, I have 6,745, which means in literally 1 to 2 hours, I have 3,372 acid. So, yeah, that's a really good deal. That's one of the better ways to trade your time for acid. So the next one is just passively getting acid as you do your scrap runs. For those that might know a little bit more about the game, later on, once you've gotten to Blackfell, you're going to be doing basically what's called scrap runs. And essentially, you start at Blackfell, and then you hit up all of the weapon, armor, and gear crates around Blackfell. And then you might do some nearby as well, but this is one of the most efficient ways to just get, rubber and automatic parts and just any kind of scrap. Just doing this one run only takes like 5 to 6 minutes, and it's going to get you over 100 acid just from killing mobs along the way. And you're going to do that multiple times a day, so that's hundreds and hundreds of acid. And if you have alts that also do the scrap run, that's even more acid. Let me see what I get in this thing. I'm kind of curious. You can get these once a day, by the way. We got a space turner. Cool. All right. And no, you don't have to craft the peppercorn food that gives you a 50% bonus drop rate. You don't need to use the atomic lighter to get your drop rate even higher. It's a complete waste of time to farm those things. You're better off just using that time to farm more acid if you really want to manually farm it, which you don't even need to do. The remaining methods are absolute garbage. You have pumping up polluted water, turning that into acid with fermentation barrels. You have growing contaminated berries and turning those into acid. And then you have mining sulfur manually, and then spinning energy links in the... what is the machine called? I forget the name right now. It is the synthesis bench. And turning that into acid. Now, the third option, the sulfur energy links, is the faster of the 3 methods. if assuming, you know, that you have infinite energy links and you have someone mining sulfur 24/7, but essentially it's still a very slow process. If you start with the third method, which is the faster one of the three, and you spend 6 weeks doing it, dedicating 2 bases to it, you make about 14,000 sulfur. I'm sorry, 14,000 acid in the 6-week period of the server's lifespan. Absolutely not worth it at all. And sadly, with the recent patch, they've kind of messed with the pumps in the polluted zones anyway, making it even more difficult to use this method. Now, I was doing this as a test just to prove how bad it is and get some, you know, values per hour. And I know this isn't the swankiest setup, but it works. It's more than enough. And, yeah, just don't even bother building a base with these things. It's a complete waste of time, resources. You don't even get that much acid from it anyway. Even if you had 5 bases of these going round the clock, it still wouldn't give you that much. And you don't even need too much acid anyway. Like, if you're a solo player, you're not going to need as much acid as people, you know, tell you that you need. Essentially, I have a huge surplus of sulfur, and for those wondering, but you need tungsten ingots and aluminum ingots. You don't need as many as you think. I can supply about 4 to 5 full builds completely solo without ever using this acid farm, not even once, and have still 2,000 to 3,000 left over by the 3rd week. Also, another tip for saving on acid is your furnace should always have the minus 30% resource consumption, because that does apply to your acid. If you don't have this, use your ults and re-roll until you get it. Very important and essential. I can't talk today. And also, you're going to get plenty of tungsten by disassembling dropped weapons from silos and bosses. Like, I have this cam and this sculpt lore, and that's going to give me 28 tungsten right there. So, again, a lot of times, you know, a lot of my tungsten comes from just breaking down these weapons anyway. And yes, I'm fully aware that acid is used for a lot of other things. Like, for instance, it's used in making, like, batteries. For instance, you need 20 acid per battery, and you would use the batteries to convert in a pump to make Stardust Source. For instance, you know, you put a battery here. Oh, I don't have it equipped, whatever. I can't use it from storage. And that you can also use acid to make explosives and devices and other objects. Yes, go ahead and feel free to do those. But you don't need, like, tens of thousands if you're a solo player. If you're in some mega guild and you want to be, like, the acid guy, be my guest, load in 5 ults. Every clan does this. I always get people complaining, oh, you're encouraging ult usage. Bro, guess what? Whenever the cell phone version of this game comes out, everybody that still plays this game is going to be ulting on their phones and on their computer at the same time. You're going to see more and more and more bases pop up. And as a solo player, you don't need an acid farm base. I make videos for solo players, not for the clannies, not for people toe-sucking the guilds or anything. Like, yeah, if you're in a guild and they want you to make acid, then make acid, whatever, who cares. But for solo players, you get more than enough with the earlier, you know, ways to get acid that I mentioned. So again, don't waste your time building, you know, base after base using alts to farm acid. There's just no reason for it. You'll have too much that you can't spend. And selling it to other players, everyone does that. There's better ways to make money in this game. Less time-consuming ways to make money in this game. I've already made videos about that. Check the link in the description below. Alright, with that, that's all you've got. If you know any other secret acid-making methods that are better, let me know. Now, again, like, if you have a whole crop-growing farm and you grow contaminated berries, it's only like 1,000-something acid per day or something. It's really not a lot for all the work and effort you have to put into, you know, growing them and stuff. It's really, really not worth it. Don't bother. Don't waste your time. You know, hit that like button, leave a comment, because I read every comment, and let me know what you think. And with that said, click the video on the right side of your screen, and if you do, the next time you go to a gas station, there won't be any lines at the checkout.